Hello, this is Pastor Sidney of the All Faith Liberation Church in Chicago, the fourth church of All Faith Liberation in Chicago. Other churches are soon to follow in other parts of the country, potentially other parts of the world. As folks have come together to solve certain problems of organization as well as creating of community. One of the things that have blocked people mostly from joining a church is that they think they have to give up parts of themselves and do something unnatural to them. In fact, a lot of churches, a lot of Christianity kind of exhorts one to do something higher than we're supposed to be. Yet the idea of the world right now is that the mother and the father forces are fighting right now. The father that feels betrayed, the father that feels that someone's cheated on him, the father that doesn't like his kids. This is the incellular mind of dominating a lot of people's minds, including people in the ICE officers of the world. These are people who unfortunately have been socially engineered in the last 20 years to be incels, to be stuck, to be God, but God far away, kind of like the God of the beginning part of the Bible in Genesis. He gets so mad at the world, he destroys the whole world. And if it wasn't for Noah's family, we wouldn't even exist. That's the kind of God who is a tortured God, who does not yet have the love of Mother Earth. And then to the family with Christ, and the family then with all of us. That family life made that prisoner, that God who's a prisoner in the dark, become part of our human family, so that by the end of the Bible and then the Holy Quran and even later Revelations, you start to see God and the mother body, the Mother Earth, the motherly forces of freedom and forgiveness and kindness wouldn't be fighting anymore. Well, that's what our church originally, that's the mindset that brings all these different faiths that we have together. We have faiths in our family that is Jewish faith. We have the Christian faith. We have the Muslim faith. We have Buddhist faith. We have pagan thought. It was called pagan thought, whether it be the Orishas of West Africa or the Norse goddesses of the Asatru religion. We have people who've come and gone through our church, and some who are still with us, who bring all these to us. And I was, looking at a really cool couple of videos the last couple of days, and give the concept that we, one of the things in our church that we're really into is making our role-playing games very epic role-playing games that we've been playing for even more years than the 11 years that we've been at church. And then all sitting down and making that into scripture, so that you'll have such scriptures as this, the first book of the series, and this is the volume 2 of the second book of the series. There'll be eventually 7 books, 14 or 15 volumes. But they all trace the story of our games that we all played together. And one of the epic things we're trying to do right now in our games is trying to go back into the time of Christ and maybe free Christ and let him not be crucified, or maybe save him. And bringing a whole bunch of interesting philosophical and theological discussion about what that would mean. We're also trying to get the goddess and the god back together. If you know from the Book of Kings, the books of Kings and the books of Chronicles, there was a decision made during some of the kingdom of Israel to cut away the goddess from the god. Well, we want to bring that back, because I think, as I say, the incels who are now stuck in a terrible self-hating manosphere mindset are actually kind of rehearsing what God could be if God was not with the human race in chapter 19 of Revelation, which is the promise that we all become the bride of God, of the Lamb. And therefore the mother and father unify and become one, so that you see in Galatians 3:28 and 29, there is no Jew or Gentile, there is no male or female, there is no bond or slave, bond or free. We're all inheritors of this great God, of the God of the Jews, which then became the God of the Christians, the Muslims, and the whole world. And that God spirit is inside all the other gods and goddesses of the world, and that's the hope to unify us all. All of that to say is, I think that putting all that together, many people are thinking about what would happen if we had kind of an organization that could lead the anger of today into something of the future. Or it could be some kind of party, it could be some kind of committee. Really, I think it should be prayer circles. And I think the prayer circles could also be role-playing game circles. So in other words, the concept before us is we're facing some angry, sad, broken men who want to be God but end up being the devil, and end up hurting and raping the earth and raping the women and children and other men of the earth. This is the model, unfortunately, that we're being offered. The answer is to bring the marriage together of mother and father, and for all of us kids to be happy. And then part of that idea is no matter where you find yourself in the world with your circles of friends, whether you pray or play, think of that as the foci for whatever things you want to do in your community. Let us not be dominated by some central committee somewhere. Let us all be dominated by the heart that we have, the inner voice that we have. In other words, the command then for all of us to think about is, can we LARP the revolution? Can we role play what we already think we should do? Because, you know, it's very effective to play against the stormtroopers with clown suits and dinosaur suits. Eventually, they're going to keep fighting and making that harder. Let us break away from these demonstrations into our own little circles and our own little homes and our own little churches, or make sacred wherever we are and make those churches whatever they are. And as they say, LARP the revolution. Bring the revolution into your everyday life and play it out until maybe fantasy and reality can become one. And spirituality then can infuse all our lives. God bless you, Goddess bless you, and may we all rise to be the Christ we want to be, that we need to be, to help our communities prosper and survive these tribulations. Good luck in your games.